what can we do in these days? Not a great deal. You know, it's just to see that the players are relatively fit. Just on that point, Damien Delaney's had to go home himself. He's picked up a little injury on Sunday, and we thought it's not worth risking him here. You know, don't want to incur the wrath of his club manager, and so he's fine. The boys are in great spirits. They're fine, but overall we haven't been able to do a great deal. But that was expected in a shortened international week. Well, my approach is, I think, relatively simple in the sense that we're at home. We want to go and try and attack Serbia. We want to try and give the fans something to cheer about. The onus is on us as the home side to come and attack. We'd want to try and do that, and naturally, just freedom of expression as well to a certain degree. Eventually, you would like to try and win the game if you can do that. So a combination of all of those things is what we want to try and achieve. I know you might have to take into consideration that stage, you know, the strength of the opposition. Serbia, of course, would be totally different here, and it's also a matter of us trying to get the ball as often as possible in the opposition half. But we'll try and formulate something. Players are up to it there, thinking about club football. I know this from my experience as a player as well too, and also experience as a manager at club level. So, but you won't be able to do that much. But it still doesn't mean that you can't go out and really play and enjoy the playing if you can. And the best way to enjoy football is, I think John will tell you, I think the one thing that we are in agreement with is that winning football matches, you know. So we're going to try and win the game. You know, we're going to try and do that, and we're going to try and enjoy it if we can. You know, there'll be games that we'll play in where we think, that was a brilliant 20-minute period. And there'll be other matches where we, you know, with respect, is we might be searching around trying to get the ball. We might be defending deeply for no other reason than the fact that we can't get it, and you know, and that we're under pressure. That happens to the very best of teams. It's happening at Champions League level. It's happening every single week in the Premiership. And you're asking teams, well, what happened there? You didn't get the ball for 20 minutes. You have to give credit maybe to the opposition at those stages. So all of these things that we are going to meet head on in the matches coming up, starting on in September.
The thing is obviously staying injury free and healthy as possible, and performing to a high level, and obviously keeping your place in the club team as well is very important. And if you're doing that, then obviously you're hoping that things will naturally go the same for you. But you obviously know you can't you can't go on forever, and that's always going to be the case. But big thing is once you stay injury free and you know you're performing to a decent level, that you're giving the manager the opportunity to pick you, and that's always going to be the case for me, hopefully. When the new manager is announced, and obviously the manager's decision to bring Roy in alongside him got everyone's imagination and enthusiasm back up, and obviously the positive start we had against Latvia and against going off to a tough away opponent like Poland, and performing how we did on a difficult pitch that evening also was a very pleasing start.
I think as time has gone on, as I've gone to the matches, that realising that, you know, this adrenaline rush that you would get every weekend is not there, but again, been refocused really with the draw being made. I think that I realised that before taking the job. I knew that would be the case, and that has remained so, obviously, from 20 years of experience, or 20 years of working at club level. And that aside, I think that everything else has you know, it's been pretty positive. Players always come in with enthusiasm. You know, it's great to see it. Seem as if they get on quite well together as well too. You know, but Roy and I'll soon sort that out. Freedom here this afternoon to talk about expression of football, which is great, and it's really what you want to do. And but you know, harder to achieve against good sides. So you use the word, you have to be a bit more calculating. It's exactly right, absolutely. And to be able to know, you know, when we have the ball, to be able to keep the ball maybe for a moment or two in matches, you know, maybe just a couple of extra passes where it looks as if we're not going anywhere, but at least we've kept it. And maybe that might have been coming out of a spell of sustained pressure against us, just to be able to keep it. At international level, I've always found this as a player, always felt that the game, remarkably, was not as quick. You know, it was slower. It was more defined in many aspects. You know, way back now, and I haven't been an international cap for quite some considerable time. You know, so the game has changed somewhat in that sense. I wasn't around as a player when the pack pass to the goalkeeper law had changed. So John wishes he hadn't been either as well. You know? So there are moments in matches where you're absolutely right. You have to be a bit more calculated. And when you do attack, you really have to try and make it count.
You want to test yourself against the best players, but you also you can't be greedy all the time and be saying, well, you want the easiest group, or you want this, you want that. You get who you get, and you have to get on with it.
Would I have a preference of Ibrox or Celtic? Could I tell my answer by my expression rather than by words? You know.
Oh, but it.
You 33, mate? Are you?
Next in April, yeah. In April.
April this year?
Yeah.
Oh, that's him
I
finished.
could have a shame. I think there's your answer then.
Somebody check what age Richard Keogh is, please.